For years, Sean Diddy Combs was seen as the undisputed king of hip-hop. His wealth, influence, and success made him look untouchable. But everything changed on March 25, 2024, when federal agents raided his homes as part of a major investigation into trafficking. The case eventually ended with him being sent to prison. When someone that powerful falls, the people around him often get caught in the collapse. The scandal didn't just bring down one man, it exposed a network of connections across the music industry. Suddenly, many famous rappers who were once close to Diddy had to face uncomfortable questions about what they knew and how deep their ties really went. This is the story of 10 rappers who found themselves pulled into the storm that followed the downfall of one of hip-hop's biggest icons. Starting at number 10, we have The Game. This case has been all over the news for months, and people have been paying attention not just to what celebrities are saying, but also to who's staying quiet. Some believe that silence speaks just as loudly as words. One of the people who said this most clearly was former Death Row Records CEO Marion Suge Knight. In a jailhouse interview, he called out several big names in the rap industry for not speaking up about the situation involving Diddy. Suge suggested that many of them knew more than they were willing to admit. He didn't hold back when listing names. Suge said, "I don't care if it's T.I., I don't care if it's Rick Ross, I don't care if it's Jay-Z, I don't care if it's Snoop, I don't care if it's Dre, I don't care if it's The Game. Nobody's stepping up on the fact that you know what's going on." Including The Game in that list was significant because he's one of the most respected artists from the West Coast, known for his long career and influence in hip-hop. Suge's point was simple. Artists with power and experience should speak up when something this big is happening in their industry. The Game's silence becomes even more noticeable when you look at what federal prosecutors have said about Diddy. The charges against Diddy describe a long pattern of abuse and control, saying he used violence, threats, and coercion to keep people loyal to him. It paints a picture of an environment built on fear, where people knew better than to speak out. So when someone like The Game stays quiet, it might not mean he doesn't care. It could mean he's being careful. For years, people in the industry have learned that speaking out against powerful figures can come with serious consequences. Even though Diddy is now behind bars, his influence and the fear he created might still be there. That could make many artists think twice before saying anything, especially in a world where silence can sometimes feel like the only safe option. Next on the list is French Montana. Few artists have been as closely and consistently tied to Diddy's bad boy records in the modern era as French Montana. Every one of his solo studio albums has been released under the bad boy banner, and Diddy himself once praised Montana for having that special bad boy sound when announcing a joint venture deal. This deep professional history placed Montana in an uncomfortable spotlight as his longtime mentor's legal troubles mounted. His response has been a clear and consistent pattern of evasion. This pattern was starkly illustrated during an encounter with a journalist at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX. After some friendly conversation about the Met Gala, the interviewer shifted topics, asking directly, "Did you talk to Diddy at all?" French Montana's demeanor immediately changed. He responded with a terse, "Come on, man," before turning and walking away onto a nearby escalator, effectively ending the interview. His security guard then approached the journalist and requested, "Don't put that last part of the interview online," and attempt to scrub the interaction from the public record. This was not an isolated incident. In other videos that have surfaced, Montana has employed similar tactics to dodge any mention of Diddy. When one interviewer asked, "Did Diddy take you shopping?" he deflected by saying, "Next question," and calling for a commercial break. This repeated behavior reveals a deliberate strategy of avoidance. For an artist so closely linked to Combs, condemning him could be seen as a profound betrayal, severing ties with a figure who was instrumental in his career. At the same time, defending him would be professionally toxic and invite public backlash. Caught in this difficult position, French Montana has chosen a third path, complete and total refusal to engage, a strategy that speaks volumes about the loyalty and self-preservation dilemma faced by many within Diddy's orbit. Moving on to number 8, we have Fabulous. Before the FBI ever showed up at Diddy's homes, his wild party lifestyle was already legendary in the hip-hop world. Everyone had heard stories about his endless nights, packed houses, and crazy after-parties that seemed to go on forever. Most people saw it as part of his larger-than-life image. But looking back now, some of those stories sound very different. In December 2021, Fabulous shared a funny memory on Instagram about one of Diddy's famous parties. He wrote, "I told Diddy I was going to the bathroom and slid once. It was 7 a.m. and this knuck was still turnt. At the time, fans laughed. It was just another wild Diddy story showing how much energy the man had. But now, with Diddy facing serious federal charges, Fabous's story feels more meaningful. Investigators have accused Diddy of hosting multi-day events called freak-offs that reportedly happened often and sometimes lasted several days. Fabous's story doesn't accuse Diddy of any crime, but it does show that those never-ending parties were very real. It's a small but telling piece of the puzzle, giving weight to the idea that Diddy's crazy nightlife might have had a much darker side behind the music and flashing lights. And that wasn't the only time the two rappers' interactions drew attention. Back in 2017, Diddy appeared with Fabulous and Jadakiss on the Drink Champs podcast. During the chat, Diddy started teasing Fabulous about why he didn't come to his parties anymore, and the moment quickly turned awkward. That clip has since resurfaced, with fans giving it a whole new meaning in light of the current allegations. Coming in at number 7, we have Mase. The relationship between Mase and Sean Combs has always been one of the most talked about feuds in hip-hop. Back in the late 1990s, Mase was one of the biggest stars under Diddy's label, Bad Boy Records. He helped shape the label's golden era with hit after hit. But behind the success, there were growing tensions. Mase has long claimed that Diddy took advantage of him in business, especially by refusing to sell him back the publishing rights to his own music. This became a major topic in hip-hop, and a symbol of how many artists were being unfairly treated in the industry. When Diddy's legal empire began to fall apart, Mase didn't hide how he felt. After the federal raids in March 2024, he spoke on his sports talk show, It Is What It Is, and joked, reparations are getting closer and closer. He called Diddy's situation the big payback, saying it was karma for years of mistreatment. For Mase, what was happening now seemed like proof that the same kind of exploitation described in the federal case had been going on for decades. Mase also said that everything happening with Diddy made him feel even more confident about his choice to walk away from the label in 1999, right when his career was at its peak. He once stated, "Everything we're seeing now was all the stuff I escaped." He pointed out how many other bad boy artists had faced tragedy or legal trouble, including the notorious B.I.G., Shine, and Craig Mack. To him, this showed that there was something deeply wrong within the bad boy world. His long battle over money, he said, wasn't just about contracts. It was a warning sign of bigger problems inside the company. Even with all the bad blood between them, Mase later took a more balanced approach. He said he would be willing to visit Diddy in jail, admitting that while Diddy did a lot of harm, he also gave people opportunities. That mix of forgiveness and frustration perfectly captures their complicated history. Two men linked by music, success, and years of unresolved tension. At number 6, we have 50 Cent. While many people in the music industry have chosen to stay quiet about the Sean Combs scandal, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson has done the complete opposite. He has turned the situation into a personal mission, using his long-running feud with Diddy as fuel. With his huge social media following, 50 Cent has constantly posted about the case, mocking Diddy and commenting on every new update. From the federal raids to news about Diddy's family, 50 Cent has kept a steady stream of jokes, criticism, and sharp remarks going. One of his most talked about reactions came after reports claimed that Diddy was attacked in prison. 50 Cent immediately said he didn't believe it, suggesting that the story was made up to gain public sympathy or even to help Diddy get a presidential pardon. He also claimed that many celebrities were staying silent because they had attended Diddy's parties and didn't want to be linked to anything that might come out later. But 50 Cent's role in this situation has gone far beyond just posting online. He is now executive producing a Netflix documentary series about the case, which is reportedly titled Diddy Do It. He even announced that he plans to donate the money from the project to victims of sexual assault and rape. With that move, he changed his image from a rival making jokes to someone who says he wants to stand up for victims. In doing so, 50 Cent has turned his long rivalry with Diddy into something much bigger. He has used it to control the story, gain more public attention, and position himself as a kind of public investigator. Whether people see him as a truth teller or a troll, there's no denying that 50 Cent has managed to turn Diddy's fall into another headline moment for himself, making sure that once again, he gets the last word. The next rapper on the list is Jay-Z. For a short but intense period, the Diddy scandal nearly pulled in one of the biggest names in music, Sean Jay-Z Carter. In December 2024, a civil lawsuit that was originally filed against Diddy was updated to include Jay-Z as a co-defendant. The lawsuit made a shocking claim that in the year 2000, both Diddy and Jay-Z had assaulted a 13-year-old girl at an after-party after the MTV Video Music Awards. Jay-Z responded quickly and firmly. Through his lawyers and public statements, he completely denied the accusation, calling it a blackmail attempt and a shakedown by the lawyer representing the plaintiff. His company, Roc Nation, also released a strong statement saying the claims were frivolous, fictitious, and appalling. The case against him did not last long. In February 2025, just a few months later, the accuser chose to voluntarily dismiss with prejudice the lawsuit against Jay-Z. That phrase, "with prejudice," is important because it means the same claim cannot be filed again in the future. After the case was dropped, Jay-Z released another statement. He criticized the legal system for allowing anonymous Jane Doe lawsuits to be filed so easily, saying that while it is important to protect real victims, the system should also protect innocent people from false claims that can damage their lives and reputations. This whole event showed how quickly someone can be caught up in a scandal, even without proof. Just being named in a lawsuit connected to Diddy's case was enough to put Jay-Z's image and legacy at risk, even for a short time. It served as a reminder that in today's world, public opinion can sometimes cause as much harm as an actual legal charge. Moving on to number 4, we have Kid Cudi. Rapper and actor Kid Cudi, whose real name is Scott Mescudi, became connected to the Sean Combs case not as a friend or party guest, but as someone who was allegedly targeted by Diddy's violent jealousy. His name first came up in November 2023, when Diddy's former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed a major civil lawsuit against him. In her complaint, Cassie claimed that back in 2012, after Diddy found out she was interested in Kid Cudi, he got angry and ordered Cudi's car to be blown up. That shocking claim soon became more than just a story in a lawsuit. It turned into an important part of the federal government's criminal case against Diddy. Prosecutors later called Kid Cudi to testify in court to help prove the arson part of their larger racketeering charge. On the witness stand, Cudi explained that he had dated Cassie briefly while she and Diddy were taking a break. He also told the jury that Diddy once called him on the phone and threatened him. Not long after that, his Porsche caught fire outside his home. Cudi said investigators found a Molotov cocktail inside the driver's seat, but no one was ever arrested for the crime. During cross-examination, Diddy's lawyers pointed out that there was no direct proof linking him to the car explosion. They also tried to shift the story by saying it was just a messy love triangle and got Cudi to admit that Cassie had been involved with both men around the same time. Still, Kid Cudi's testimony ended up being a major moment in the trial. It changed him from just a name mentioned in Cassie's story to a key witness in a federal case. His account gave prosecutors a clear example of violence that went beyond Diddy's inner circle. It showed that Diddy's alleged control and anger could reach anyone he saw as a threat, even another celebrity like Kid Cudi. Now let's move on to the top 3 rappers connected to Diddy's case. At number 3, we have Young Miami. Unlike many people linked to the Diddy case, who were described as victims or witnesses, rapper Young Miami, whose real name is Caresha Brownlee, was accused of something much more serious. She was named in an updated civil lawsuit filed by music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones. In his lawsuit, Jones did not describe her as a victim. Instead, he claimed that she actively took part in Diddy's alleged crimes and helped him carry them out. The lawsuit made 2 major claims against her. The first was that Young Miami, along with 2 other women, worked for Diddy as one of his workers and was paid a monthly allowance of $250,000. The second claim was even more serious. Jones accused her of helping Diddy transport illegal. He said she sometimes supplied him with a drug called Pink, also known as Tusi, especially when Diddy's regular supplier was not available. Young Miami quickly denied all the accusations. She went on social media to say that the story about her being paid $250,000 a month was completely false and something the internet made up. Her team also responded to the claim by giving time-stamped videos to the media showing that she was in New York City for a Met Gala dress fitting on the same night Jones claimed she was delivering to Diddy somewhere else. These allegations made Young Miami's situation very different from others caught up in the Diddy scandal. Instead of being described as a victim or bystander, she was accused of being directly involved. Whether the claims are true or not, being named as someone who may have helped Diddy in his alleged crimes made her one of the most talked about and controversial figures connected to the case. Meek Mill takes the number 2 spot. His situation shows how quickly rumors and half-truths can spread in the age of social media. The Philadelphia rapper was never mentioned by name in the civil lawsuit filed by producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones. However, his identity was easily guessed because of a redacted section in the document that went viral online. In that section, Jones talked about an unnamed rapper, but a footnote described him as a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj. That clue was clear enough for people to assume it was Meek Mill. The lawsuit then made two serious claims about this unnamed rapper. The first was that Diddy allegedly told Jones he had engaged in sexual intercourse with the rapper. The second was that the same rapper was supposedly seen on Diddy's yacht, consorting with underage girls and sex workers. Even though Meek Mill was not officially accused of any crime, the details in the lawsuit were specific enough to make people online connect the dots, and the story exploded almost instantly. The backlash was huge. Meek Mill quickly went public to defend himself. He denied being gay and said on social media that he wanted to spend $100,000 to hire an investigative team to find out how and why his name had been linked to the case. He claimed that someone was trying to ruin his reputation with lies. This incident showed how damaging it can be when someone is indirectly linked to a legal case. Even though Meek Mill's name was never written in the lawsuit, the small clues were enough to start a storm of online gossip. It became a clear example of how a person's image can be harmed without any proof, and how quickly the internet can turn speculation into a full-blown scandal. And finally, at number 1, we have Usher. Out of all the rappers and singers linked to the Sean Combs case, Usher Raymond has the most complicated connection. He has been tied to the scandal in two different ways, one through a civil lawsuit and another through the federal government's criminal trial against Diddy. Usher's name first came up through speculation related to the lawsuit filed by music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones. In that lawsuit, Jones claimed that Diddy had a sexual encounter with a famous R&B singer. The footnote described this person as someone who had performed at the Super Bowl and had a successful Vegas residency. Since Usher had recently performed at the Super Bowl and had a popular Las Vegas show, many people assumed that the lawsuit was referring to him. However, his connection to the case grew much more serious when the federal criminal trial began. Former Danity Kane member Dawn Richard took the witness stand and gave shocking testimony about something she said happened in 2010. According to her, she was at a restaurant with several people, including Usher, when she saw Diddy punch his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in the stomach. She told the court that no one stepped in to stop it, even though it happened in public. She also said that musician Neo and music executive Jimmy Iovine were present during the incident. This puts Usher in a very delicate position. On one side, he is mentioned indirectly in a civil lawsuit involving unproven rumors. On the other side, he has now been named under oath as a possible witness to a violent act that plays a major role in the criminal case against Diddy. This means Usher could have important information about what really happened, making his role far more serious than simple gossip or online speculation. Whether he chooses to speak publicly or not, his connection to the case is one of the most important. It suggests that Usher may have seen events that go to the heart of the federal investigation, which makes his potential testimony, and even his silence, very significant.